Hey guys, it's carsonmtech here, back with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be unboxing, testing out, and answering the question, is a $450 electric longboard that you can purchase from Walmart worth your money, and if it is, in what ways? Also, I'd just like to mention now that this is the single motor version of this board. However, for $150 more at a price of $600, you can get a dual motor version of this board, which would give you more power and more speed. However, this video is only going to be focusing on the single motor. But anyways, with that being said, let's get into the unboxing. Okay, so I do have to admit right now, I have already opened this before, but I have put everything back to the best that I can. I don't have the plastic that covers the board anymore, or even the directions, but this is as close to an unboxing as you're gonna get. So before actually getting inside of the box, just looking here on the front, it's got a 16-mile range, which is great for a board that's only $450. There are boards that are more expensive than that, and they only have like 7 miles. It's also got a 16-mile-per-hour top speed, which I'm going to be talking about that later. It's actually got a higher top speed than that. It can climb up to 15-degree hills, and it's got a wireless remote controller. Obviously, how else are you going to control it? And here again, as I mentioned, this is the single motor, which is 900 watts. So let's just flip it on over now and get to opening it up. Lift up, and there you go. You can see the board. Usually this would be covered with plastic because that's how it came, but this did kind of got rid of that, so don't have that anymore. But let's just sit this board aside for right now, because it also comes with another box right here, and inside of this box you will find, typically the directions are in here, but it also comes with a card saying if you have a problem to contact them. It also comes with 2 extra belts, which is great because these things can break really easily sometimes, but I've actually never had a problem yet. Also inside the box, you will get a skate tool for adjusting the trucks and taking off the wheels and other things like that. Also comes with the remote controller, obviously. That's what the remote controller looks like right there. And lastly, inside of this box right here is the charger for the board, and it also comes with a micro USB cord. So just throwing this stuff back in the box, let's check out the board itself. So just a quick rundown, it's got a 7-ply maple deck, so that means it is a very tough deck and it will not move, similar to a boosted board that has a bamboo deck, sadly enough. So this will not flex, but it's a very sturdy deck, which can be a good positive thing in some people's cases. And with that 900 watt motor, it can support anyone up to 240 pounds. Upon first glance here, it's got some larger wheels. I know in their newer versions, they actually have a different type of wheel, so I'm not sure what size these wheels are because I'm not that big of a skate or longboarding person. So I don't know that, but turning this on is really quite simple. To power on the board, you just press the button once and it will turn on. To power on the remote controller, you just press and hold the button until it turns on. When you first turn on the remote for the first time, you may have to link between your board and the remote controller, so just turn on your board and press this button at the same time until it beeps 3 times. I'm not going to do it now because I've already linked this. But anyways, for these lights, this top green light tells you if you are in beginner mode, and the LED right below it says if you are in fast mode. So to switch those, you're going to have to immediately after turning on the remote, press the button, and as you can see, it switches between that green and the red. I prefer fast mode, but if you are a beginner, definitely begin with beginner mode. And these next 3 lights right here show your battery life of the board, and because I couldn't figure this out until I took a look at LIFTBOARD's website, all 3 lights mean 100%, so if these 3 are lit up, then that means it's got 100%. 2 lights means 65%, and only the red light means 35% of the board. And if the red light begins flashing rapidly, that means the board is at 10% or lower. So before actually getting on this, I'd just like to mention now that if you are a beginner or even an experienced user of longboards, the trucks, when I received this lift board, were pretty loose. So you're gonna wanna break out that tool that it came with and tighten up the trucks, because when you are riding an electric longboard, you probably want your trucks tighter because it gives you more stability and it just gives you greater control when you're actually riding it. And I understand if you're just regularly manually riding a longboard that it's fine if your trucks are looser because you'll probably want that for tighter turns and stuff like that. But in the case of an electric longboard, you're probably going to want to tighten up these trucks. So it's really easy. If you've never tightened up trucks before, you just put on this wrench right here and tighten it up. I probably tightened it by about 2 or 3 turns, so mine only move about that much. I mean, they're still kind of loose, but they are much tighter than they were before I tightened them up with this. But now that I've said that, I just want to mention that this board, which many other boards don't come with, it has a handle right here. So this is amazing for carrying around your board like this rather than by your side like this. And as you can see, you have to lift up your arm, and it kind of really strains your arm. With this, you can just let your arm droop down and it feels much lighter than the other one. So, like I said that I would mention later is now, and I just want to talk about the speed of this thing. I know it says on the box that it can get up to 16 miles per hour, but the max speed that I have ever gotten it up to is about 18 miles per hour, which is pretty crazy for a board. I understand that there are other ones that can go much faster than 18 miles per hour. However, for its claiming that it can only go 16 miles per hour, and when you're just coasting, I've gotten up to 18 miles per hour, and I'd say right now I'm probably going about 18. Now, one thing to mention is the fact that I had never ever rode a skateboard or longboard or anything of the liking prior to owning this board, and so the learning curve actually isn't that bad. It's pretty easy, and as long as you have the trucks tightened up, I think you will have a pretty easy time learning to ride this thing. So if you've never owned a electric skateboard or longboard before, I highly recommend going and doing some brake checks with your longboard in order to figure out how quickly the board decelerates. And speaking of braking, I just want to mention really quickly how quickly this board decelerates. So I'm going to go full speed, and in the next shot you will see how long it takes for the board to fully come to a complete stop. And that was going full speed. I'd say the braking distance for the LIFTBOARD, it's probably about 25 to 30 feet. I didn't fully measure that, so I'm not totally sure, but from where I just went over there, I was down to a slow enough speed even before reaching this camera that I could totally just run off. So speaking of full speed, if anybody's wondering, yes, this is capable of going full speed in both directions. And speaking of both directions, in order to reverse in the other direction, you have to come to a completely full stop, because when you pull back on this, it's not going to get you in the other direction. It can only go forward and backwards, pushing forward. So sadly enough, if you are wanting this for tricks or other things like that, this is no boosted board. You can't just immediately reverse directions like those. So just to demonstrate this, going forward, press the button and you can go backwards. However, if I want to try and change the direction right now, it did not work. Unless you come to pretty much this speed right here and you're pulling back on the brake, it'll allow you to switch. When talking about range, the most range that I've ever gotten out of this is about 12 to 13 miles, which is not what it says that it can have, but if you take into consideration other boards out there, that is insane. A boosted board that doesn't have the extended battery pack only can get up to 7 miles, and that's what it says, so it could probably only get around 5 to 6 miles. So 12 to 13 miles isn't too shabby. This board does not have regenerative braking, but the dual motor does, so if you get that, you will get some power back from that. However, if you go and you kick off when you're starting and when you're coming to a stop, you don't fully rely on the board and using the brake, then you will likely have much longer distance than 12 to 13 miles, which is incredible for just getting around on this thing. This thing is definitely built as a beast to get around distances. Like I said earlier during the unboxing, this thing can absolutely handle more than 15-degree inclines. What I'm going up right now is probably about 17 to 18, and as long as you've got some speed built up before you go up hills, then you should be fine. But if you're already on an incline and you're trying to get going up, it may not be able to do it if you are on anything greater than 15 degrees. That's probably where they get their number. However, if you really are already going up an incline, you should be fine and shouldn't have to worry about there not being enough power. I do have to admit, I do like a lot of things about this board, but one thing that I find terrible about it is the way that it deals with when the battery actually gets low. So as you can see right now, I'm down to 1 red dot, which means that I have anywhere in the ballpark between 35% and 0%. Basically, all this board does is when it gets down to that 10%, if you are going full speed, you better be prepared, because this thing will put on the brakes and take you down to around 7 miles per hour to 8 miles per hour. That 10 miles per hour deceleration is pretty severe if you are not expecting it. If you have that red light, then you better know when you began to have that red light, because somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes later, you're gonna realize that your board is dead. Okay, so now to answering the question that I asked in the very beginning of this video. I'm just gonna say now that I absolutely think this board is worth $450. Even if this single motor was $550 or something like that, I would still go for it. This is a great deal, and everything that you're getting out of it, it will probably exceed your expectations, because I know it did for me. However, there are those things though that it still kind of lacks, and that is with the board. It doesn't flex at all, so if you're gonna be riding this very long distances for long periods of time, then your legs are gonna get tired after a while if you're not flexing them enough. Also, this doesn't go the full 16 miles, so if you were wanting to go 16 miles on an electric longboard for some crazy reason, then you won't be able to do that. And also, this doesn't have regenerative braking. And again, the way that this thing deals with when the battery is really low, I really wish they would improve the way that this remote looks. The ergonomics of it is fine, but like, on these lights, could they at least label them for how much battery percentage it is? Because off the top of my head, I even already forgot what the percentages are. I really wish they would label that on here, and also that it would give a beeping warning, like maybe even 30 seconds before it's gonna go and put on the brakes and get you down to 7 to 8 miles per hour, because that is just so startling when you're going full speed and you don't look at your remote and you're like, oh, wow, okay, my board is low. So yeah, overall, I do think this board is absolutely worth it, and if you're considering it, I would say go for it. It's a great buy, and I don't think you'll regret it. However, if you have your own opinion, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys think it's worth it yourselves or not? And if you'd like to purchase this board, I'll be leaving links down below in the description. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to let me know by clicking that thumbs up button down below. And if you'd like to see future videos from me, consider clicking that subscribe button down below. Also, if you'd like to see my last video, that should be up there, and some random video should be down there. But anyways, guys, that is all from me for this video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.